Good morning, everyone. We welcome you this morning to the Unitarian Universalist Fellowship of Northern Nevada, where it is our mission to grow together in love, faith, justice, and joy. My name is Linda O'Neill, and my pronouns are she and her. I stand on Washoe land. I am honored to serve as your worship associate today. Bahoon, the word for welcome in the Shoshone Native Indian tribe. I am wearing red today to celebrate the Native Americans and to note the meaning of red as joy for protection of children, from the elders as guardians to the young. My late husband and I have 4 adopted children. Our first child was a 4-month-old baby boy from Elko. We were so excited to become first-time parents and could not wait to welcome this little one from the Shoshone Indian tribe. We had wonderful times with Ben, and some difficult times too. We endeavored to preserve his heritage, which was difficult at times, as he was raised in a white, busy, and sometimes loud family. Today, Ben, as an adult, still brings with him the gentleness, kindness, choosing his words with great meaning before speaking, soft-spoken, with a sprinkle of humor from the Native American heritage. Yes, he was able to maintain some of his heritage, and we celebrate his heritage for him and for us. I would like to welcome you all here, no matter where you are today. If you're inside the sanctuary or on the airways at Zoom, we welcome you. We welcome you here regardless of racial identity, age, economic circumstances, immigration status, sexual orientation, or gender identity. We welcome you, and we are glad that you are here. If this is your first time or your 101 first time, we are glad you are here. Remember that you can sign up for our newsletter that keeps you informed of all the activities here at UUFNN. We ask that we all respect the wishes of folks who choose to continue to social distance, practice open communication with one another, and be intentional about honoring personal boundaries. Those of you on Zoom will remain muted through the service, but you can put comments on the chat box. And you can also stay following the service for coffee time conversations. So no matter where you are today, sit back and enjoy. We come here to voice our truths and to wade our truths, and we welcome you. Now take a moment to greet one another in whichever way is more comfortable. It could be a hug, or a handshake, or a wave, or an elbow bump, or a fist bump. And if you're on Zoom, you can wave to one another or make a sign to greet each other. So let our greeting begin. We have a few announcements today. So today we will be celebrating our apple harvest time. And so after the service, we will have a potluck to serve with apple goodies. And it looks like they said if it's good weather, we will set up outside, and it looks like it's great weather, so it will be held outside. Also, the Working Adults potluck is this evening from 5 to 7 in the Star King room. Children are welcome. Bring what you want and come as you are. The board will have representatives on Zoom and a person on Sunday, October 15th, to listen to and talk with members. We're thinking about a topic question for the talk time. More information to come.
Call to worship, native prayer. O great Spirit, whose voice in the winds I hear, and whose breath gives life to all the world, hear me. Before you I come, one of your many children. I am small and weak. Your strength and wisdom I need. Let me walk in beauty and make my eyes ever behold the sunset. Make my heart reflect all you have made, and may my ears sharp to hear your voice. Make me wise that I may know all you have taught my people, the lessons you have hidden in every rock. I seek strength not to be superior to my brother, but to fight my greatest enemy, myself. Make me ready to stand before you with clean and straight eyes, so when life fades as the fading sunset, may my spirit stand before you without shame. Now, if Nathan could come up and help me. I am panicky of matches, so he's gonna help me out with the chalice light. Chant in prayer. Let us know peace, for as long as the moon shall rise, for as long as the river shall flow, for as long as the sun shall shine, for as long as the grass shall grow, let us know peace.
I invite us all to put on our imagination caps. This is our time of our service that is our time for all ages, a time for stories, a time for play, a time for imagination. And I want to encourage us all to tap into that inner child spirit as we hear this story today. So I want to invite everybody to take a deep breath. Exhale. The story we're going to hear today is called The Golden Flower. It is a Taino or a creation myth, and this retelling is by Nina Jaffe and Enrique O. Sanchez. Long ago, the island of Puerto Rico was called Boriquen. This was the name given to it by the first people who lived there, the Taino. From time to time, the families in Taino villages would stop their work and gather for a celebration called an arito. All through the night, they would dance and sing. Then the young and the old would gather together in a great circle and listen to stories of magic and wonder, of Taino heroes, and of how things came to be. Imagine you too are sitting in a wide circle on a warm tropical night. The wind is blowing through palm trees, the stars are twinkling in the sky, and a storyteller begins to weave a story from long ago. In the beginning of the world, there was no water anywhere. There was only a tall mountain that stood alone in a wide desert plain. There were no green plants. There were no flowers. All of the people lived on top of this mountain. One day, a child walking on the dry land below the mountain, as he bent down over the ground looking for food, something floated by on the wind. He reached out and caught it. It was a seed, a small brown seed. And so he put that seed in his pouch and went on with his day. The next day, he went walking and again found something as it floated by on the wind. It was another seed. Day by day, he gathered these seeds until his pouch was full. It could not hold any more. And the child said to himself, I will plant these seeds at the top of our mountain. And he did. He planted the seeds and waited. One morning, a tiny leaf appeared. The child watched. From under the ground, a forest began to grow high and tall on top of this mountain, and all people came to see. It was a forest of many-colored flowers, a magical garden of green leaves and thick branches. This child was happy. And in the middle of the forest, at the foot of the tallest tree, there grew a vine that wrapped itself around the tree, and from that vine grew a flower, more beautiful than all the rest, a bright flower with golden petals. And from that flower, something new appeared in the forest. It looked like a little ball. Look, cried the child, something is growing out of that flower. And as the people gathered round to watch, that ball grew larger and larger until it became a giant yellow globe that shone like the sun. And even as they walked on the dry land below, people could see it shining on top of the mountain. One woman said, If you put your ear next to the ball, you can hear strange noises coming from inside. The people listened. Strange sounds and murmuring could be heard, but nobody knew what was inside this ball. The people were afraid, and after that, they all stayed away. Even the child stayed away. One day, a man walking on the desert plain saw the golden ball. He said, "If that shining ball were mine, I would have the power of the sun, and I could light up the sky or make darkness fall." And he ran towards it, climbing up the rocky mountainside. And on the other side of the mountain, another man saw that shining ball. And he also said, "I want that for myself. It will give me power." So he too began to run, each climbing quickly, each finding a footpath that led to that tree. They both ran without stopping until they reached the shining globe at the same time. But what they found was not really a ball. It was the fruit of the golden flower, a calabasa, a pumpkin. And the two men began to fight and argue. "It's mine," said one. "No, it's mine," said the other. Each man grabbed and pulled at that pumpkin. They pushed and they pulled and they tugged until the vine broke. And the pumpkin began to roll down the mountain faster and faster until it crashed onto a sharp rock and burst apart. Whoosh! Waves of water poured out from the pumpkin. The water bubbled and foamed. The waves began to cover the earth, flooding the desert. The water levels rose higher and higher, for it was a sea that had been hidden inside the pumpkin. Out of the pumpkin came creatures, whales, dolphins, crabs, and sunfish. All the people ran to the top of the mountain to hide in the forest of green leaves. "Will the whole earth be covered?" they cried. Higher and higher the water rose up the sides of the mountain. But when the water reached the edge of the magic forest that the little boy had planted, it stopped. The people peeked out from behind leaves, and what did they see? Small streams running through the trees, a beach of golden sand, and a wide open ocean sparkling all around them. Now the people could drink from the cool springs and streams and splash in the rippling waves. Now they could gather fish from the flowing tides and plant crops. The child laughed and sang as the sun shone down. Breezes blew through green leaves and rustled many-colored flowers. Water had come to earth. And that is how the Taínos say, between the sun and the sparkling blue sea, their island home, Boriken came to be. As we think about our service here today, I chose this story because the myths that tell us of where we come from, of what began before us, those myths are stories that survive. Indigenous Peoples Day is a hard day for many people, especially Indigenous people, and yet our stories that are passed down through those communities that survive the hardship are stories of creation, are stories of survival, are stories of beauty. And so I trust as we move through our service today, I invite you all to cherish that the stories we hear today have origin stories. And the origin stories are beautiful, and that there is beauty in the midst of survival. Thank you.
Good morning, all. My name is Xiomara Rodriguez. My pronouns are her, she, and ella. And I am humbly standing today on the ancestral lands of the Paiute, Shoshone, and the Washoe. Today, I stand here as a woman of color. In me, there's indigenous blood from extinguished Taino indigenous people of the Caribbean, slave blood from the Africans that were slaved and taken to Puerto Rico, and from the Spanish conquistadores. Why am I here today? That's a good question. The answer is very simple. I am here to introduce you to the Taino nation. I wonder how many of you know who they were and why they're so important on this day. There is so much to talk about, to say, to learn about those forgotten people, and I know I really don't have the time, but I'll try to do my best. So, sit back, because here I go. As a history major, it is my duty to establish something about Christopher Columbus. Let me make one thing very clear, and one that is historical fact. Columbus never landed in what today is the United States of America. He got lost in the Caribbean. So let's remember that. It is historical fact that Columbus left Spain in 1492 with 3 ships, La Niña, La Pinta, y La Santa Maria. But he didn't reach mainland USA. He arrived on October 12, 1492, to what is today known as the Bahamas. He was greeted by the Taino nation. This was the indigenous nation that Christopher Columbus met, and the only indigenous nation that he encountered. This was the indigenous nation that he helped eliminate. Later, that October, Columbus sighted Cuba and believed it was China. In December of the same year, the expedition found Hispaniola, which he thought it was Japan. There he established the first Spanish colony in America with 39 of his men. And this is where the demise of the Taino nation started. The Taínos, the native people that inhabited the Caribbean, a nation of people that the Spaniards killed, slaved, and extinguished, a nation not spoken about, a nation forgotten. And here's where my mission starts today. As we celebrate Indigenous Day, I want to bring forth the indigenous nation that truly met Columbus when he invaded the Caribbean island. And yes, I said invaded. Not found, nor discovered, invaded. The Spaniards invaded a land that was already inhabited. The Spaniards did not discover land. The land was there. It was inhabited by people who had a culture, a religion, a language. As I told someone not too long ago, I do not remember where in history where the indigenous people of America got in a ship, crossed the Atlantic, and discovered Europe. Right? Spain, France, England, Italy were already there. Those areas were populated by people who had a culture, a language, a religion. And I know many of you are saying, well, it was a new world for the European. That is why they call it the New World. Point taken. So if that was a new world for the European, why destroy what was already there? On March 1493, Columbus returned to Spain in triumph, bearing gold, spices, and Indian captives. Let me emphasize the word captive. The Taínos were taken from their land to a different world as a prize, as a trophy of a conquest. Let's talk a little bit about the extinguished genocide of the Taino nation, an Arawak-speaking nation that inhabited what is not now Cuba, Jamaica, Hispaniola, which is a combination of Haiti and the Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico, and the Virgin Islands. One of the most numerous indigenous people of the Caribbean, the Tainos may have numbered 1 to 2 million at the time of the Spanish conquest. So when Columbus got lost in the Caribbean, and that is all he did, he encountered the Tainos, he encountered a nation of agricultural people, not warriors. They were peaceful people who practiced a high-yield form of shifting agriculture to grow their staple foods, cassave, yams, maize, beans, squash, tobacco, and pepper. They also gathered plants, birds, lizards, small animals, fish, shell food. They occasionally domesticated parrots to use them as decoy to distract wild birds within range of their hunters. The Taino people that Columbus came upon lived in settlements that range from small family compounds to groups of 3,000 people. Houses were built of log and poles with thatch roofs. Men wore loincloths and women wore aprons of cotton and plant fabric. Both sexes painted themselves on special occasion. They wore earrings, nose rings, necklace, with some were sometimes made of gold. The Tainos also made pottery, baskets, and implements of stone and wood. Their favorite form of recreation was a ball game that they played in a rectangular court. The Tainos had an elaborate system of religion beliefs and rituals that involved the worship carved representation of spirit called semis. They also had a complex social order with government hereditary chiefs and sub-chiefs and a class of nobles and commoners. The Spanish Chronicle described the Tainos town as densely settled, well-organized, widely dispersed. The indigenous people were inventive people who devised an extensive pharmacopoeia from nature, built ocean-going canoes large enough for more than 100 paddlers, and play games with balls made out of rubber, which fascinated Spanish who saw this type of material for the first time. Although the Tainos never developed a written language, they made exquisite pottery, woven belts with dyed cotton, carved enigmatic images in wood, shell, and bones. These were the people the Spanish encountered when they invaded the Caribbean. The Tainos were easily conquered by the Spaniards in 1493. Enslaved, starvation, suicide, and diseases reduced them from a few thousand by 1520 to merely extinguished by 1550. Those who survived mixed with the Spaniards, African, and others. Taino culture was largely wiped out. The Taino nation are not officially recognized as a group by any government. Once again, the Tainos as a nation are not officially recognized as a group by any government. Those who consider themselves Tainos claim the right to self-determination. And I am one of them, because the stories told to me by my grandfather that was born in 1892. And according to him, his great-grandmother and his grandmother were both Taino with Spanish descent. And here is where I'm going to make a sidebar to intersect a little bit of family history. I lived with my grandparents in Ponce, which is on the south coast of Puerto Rico, until I was about 6 years old. I remember every morning my grandfather would sit in a rocking chair on the balcony with his black coffee in a coconut coffee cup. He always said that that was the way his family drank the coffee. I remember being a little girl of 3 to 5. I would get up early and run down the hallway passing the kitchen with aroma of fresh baked bread, the dining room and the living room, to get to the wraparound balcony where my grandfather was sitting in his rocking chair. To sit on his lap, he will give me a sip of his black coffee. No sugar. The bitter taste will stay with me all day, as well as the feeling of security that I felt when I put my head on his chest. He will tell me stories of his people, the Taínos. He will tell me that people out there think we are all gone, but we're still here. Then he will smile, drink some more coffee, and give me a bit more. I truly enjoy that everyday interchange. And on the other hand, my Basque grandmother would act very upset because he allowed me to come outside in my bare feet, in my nightgown, and having black coffee. He would smile and say, un buchito más de café. And then tell me to go inside and do what my grandmother said to do, with a wink and a smile. I also remember being a child and being taken to visit my grandfather's family in Sosúa, also a small town in the south of Puerto Rico. There I met his oldest sister, Tia Justina. She was the oldest of 13 children, and my grandfather being one of the youngest. Tia Justina, as we all call her, was an impressive woman. As I remember, she was not very tall, she was slender, had a walking stick, and always wore black long dresses. She had many features that were credited to the Taino people. Her eyes were dark, and she had stern look, but occasionally you could see a mischievous on those dark eyes. The same was true with my grandfather. All my cousins were afraid of her. I was not. I never challenged her because in my childhood heart, I knew that would have been a big mistake. But I never showed her that I fear her either. As I remember, she would take me by the hand into the big house and show me pictures of the family that were on the wall, her father and her mother that had long been gone, her brothers that had died in the war, and her husband. I understood why she always wore black. The last time I saw Tia Justina was in the summer of 1956. I had to go to San Juan to live with my mother and my stepfather and go to school. That was about to start. School was a place that, according to them, the Taino nation were all gone. And what had been told to us by our old relatives were just stories and nothing else. So our schools also eliminated the Taino nation. They were just an asterisk and nothing else. And here's where I stop remembering, and I get back to history. If you have ever paddled a canoe, nap in a hammock, savor barbecue, smoke tobacco, or tracked a hurricane across the Caribbean, you have paid tribute to the Taino, the indigenous people who invented those words long before they welcomed Christopher Columbus. Let me tell you what Columbus said about the Taínos he encountered. They will give all they have to possess for anything that is given to them, exchanging things, even broken pots. He noted upon meeting them in the Bahamas in 1492, they were very well built, with very handsome bodies, very good faces. They did not carry arms or knew them. They should make good servants. Let me read that again. They do not know or carry arms. They should make good servants, especially the part of servants. The history books, at least the ones I have read, tell us that in 1493, Columbus established the first American colony at Isabela on the north coast of Hispaniola. After a brief period of coexisting, the relationship between the newcomers and the native deteriorated. The Spaniards took the men from the village and forced them to work in the gold mines and plantations. This kept the Taínos from planting crops that they had fed them for centuries. The Taínos began to starve. Many thousand fell prey of smallpox, measles, other European diseases from which they had no immunity. Some committed suicide to avoid subjugation. 100 died fighting against the Spaniards, while untold number fell to remote regions beyond colonial control. In time, many Taino women married conquistadores, combining their genes of the New World with the Old World to create a new mestizo population, which took Creole characteristics when the African slaves arrived. Possibly as many as 3 million souls, some 85% of the Taino population, vanish. For me, what I'm going to say is Puerto Rican general history, but I know this is not taught in our books here in the United States. Upon the arrival to Puerto Rico on November 19, 1493, they were received by Agüeybaná, who was the most powerful and the last cacique of the Taino people in Borinquén. Agüeybaná was killed in 1510 by the Spaniards in battle, trying to defend his people. Like I said before, the Taínos were not a nation of warriors, they were an agricultural nation. They did not have weapons to fight the Spaniards. If I could call one of my favorite TV characters, Xena, I would have to say, the Spaniards were a destroyer of nations. Agüeybaná, his name was translated to mean the great sun, was the hereditary title shared by the family that ruled theocratic monarchy of Borinquén, governing hierarchy over the rest of the regional chiefs and caciques. The title of nobility passed down through maternal bloodline. Maternal bloodline. And here I'm going to do another sidebar to bring study done in 2013 by a biologist at the University of Puerto Rico, Juan C. Martinez Cruzado. He conducted an island-wide genetic study. He took a sample of 800 randomly selected subjects. At the end of the study, Martinez then reported that 61.1% of those surveyed had mitochondrial DNA of indigenous origin, indicating a persistence in the maternal line that surprised him and his following scientists. The same study revealed African markers of 26.4% and of the population and a 12.5% of those of European descent. The result encouraged a Taino native group urging Puerto Rican schools to take note of the indigenous contribution, opposing construction on tribal sites, and seeking federal recognition for the Taino people. But even with the results from the study, some scholars remain skeptical. You know, we have to be aware of the people running around saying that they're Taino because they're trying to get a federal subsidize. Yeah, right. Said Bernardo Vega, a former director of the Museum of the Dominican Man and the Dominican Republic, former ambassador to the United States. Yvonne Amy Naganes Strud, an archaeologist at the University of Puerto Rico, agreed with him. She gave the activist credit for preserving important sites on the island, but she sounded worried of emphasizing and establishing a separate Taino identity. All the cultures blend here, she said. I probably have Taino genes. Well, I do. We have to incorporate all those cultures, African, Spanish, Indian. We must live with it. Yes, we all, the people of the Caribbean, especially Puerto Rico, have to live with the fact that we have three distinguished cultures within us. But why shouldn't we accept the fact that Taino blood is given to us by our mothers? And again, we are extinguishing the Tainos from our world. Maybe you probably are asking, what is the purpose of this today? It is simply to introduce to you a culture that has been thought to have been extinguished, to a nation that suffered a great genocide, to people like me that have mixed Taino, African, and Spaniard running through their veins. I am proud to say I am a woman of color. I am proud to say that I have Taino blood within me. I am proud to say that I also have African blood with me, and yes, I also have conqueror's blood. I'm not here with a 2x4 to tell you about racism, to tell you about how hard it is to be in this country that underestimate those of us people of color. No. I came here to introduce you to an indigenous nation that you probably did not know, to a group of people that suffer and were genocide because of a group of people that believe they were less than. Because I believe deep in my heart that if we teach history, true factual history, the importance of those that came before us, what they suffered and how they were treated, we will learn. And maybe all of us together might change the course of the world. Understanding what happened before will open our hearts and minds to be able to work together for a better future of all races. As a descendant of indigenous nation and Unitarian Universalist, I hold to our first principle, the inherited worth and dignity of every person. Also our third principle, acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregation. I truly believe in our principles and what they stand for. And on a day like today, I once again say that I honor those that came before me, and I ask for help to bring forth the knowledge to those that do not know about us. And once again, in total humility, I say, I'm humbled to stand today on the ancestral lands of the Paiute, Shoshone, and Washoe. I will finish today with a video that is a musical history of our Guaybana, interpreted by a group called Haciendo Punto en Otro Son. Talks about the Guaybana story in a musical way. I hope you like it. Thank you for your time today. Blessed be. Amen and namaste.
Un 19 de noviembre, la historia derramó sobre nosotros un aluvión de siglos. Conjuguemos la presencia del hombre sobre esta isla nuestra, atalaya para los ojos puestos en el porvenir.
donde cruza el Orinoco. En sus ágiles galones, los padres al por las 26 bocas del delta sale el inmenso
Fascinación los arrastrará.
por las 36 bocas del delta sale el inmenso
Hacia las islas.
por las 36 bocas del delta sale el inmenso
Gemían tus hermanos maltratados y privados del tesoro más preciado que es la libertad. Tornaste sus gemidos en valientes alaridos y sus brazos en antorchas de verdad. En confín al otro de tu bella Boriqué, tu nombre se repite por doquier. Marchó valientemente, siempre al frente de su jefe, sobre el pecho reluciente su guaní. Guaní, disco dorado, blanco fácil del soldado que dispara y a su vida pone fin. En confín al otro de tu bella aborigen, tu nombre se repite por doquier. Así que boricano, tu nombre está grabado en la eternidad. Por siempre en nuestra historia, cubierto estás de gloria, agua
This is our time in our service where we now take an offering that allows us to exercise that all-important generosity of spirit, an offering that will support this self-supporting church and its many ministries. The gifts of the congregation will be most gratefully received. For those of us that are physically together here at the sanctuary, we'll be passing the basket. For those of us that are on Zoom, you can do your offering virtually by texting 73256, putting UUFNN in the message box and hit send. Then follow the instructions to provide your offering. You can also mail a check to the office at 780 Del Monte Lane, Reno, 89511. The slickest and cleanest way to donate is to sign up for the automatic giving. Contact the office and Carol will send you an automatic draft form, or you can pull it from the website. For the month of October, our Sharing the Plate is Children's Organ Transplant Association. COTA is a national organization founded to help raise funds for families of child transplant recipients to cover their children's lifelong transplant-related expenses. 100% of all the funds raised through COTA's community fundraising campaigns go towards supporting these patients and their families. COTA does not take any fees or take in a percentage of the funds raised for any services they provide. As COTA is a 501c3 organization, donors are entitled to tax deductions. All money raised go directly to COTA, which serves as the recipient in funds administration. In love, faith, justice, and joy, we dedicate ourselves, and these are offerings.
I will start the meditation today with a prayer to lift the people of Israel as they face a war in their country. I will also like to say that Tracy sends Rosie spectacular musical performance yesterday. Yes. Sheila wants prayers for Larry Oakley. Larry's is the husband of Nancy Oakley, is hospitalized in Reno. Please send him healing love and energy. I would like to thank personally everyone who has sent me condolence for the passing of my stepfather. Thank you very much. It has touched my heart. Thank you. I would like to say we have a calling in the world. We are called to honor diversity, to respect difference and dignity. We are people of wide path. Let us be wide in affection and our own way in peace. Let's take a couple of seconds to think and meditate. With a hand in our heart and one extended out to say, I see you, I feel you, I hear you. Spirit of kindness and compassion, we come from different places to the sacred ground of communal caring. We are enriched by the company of each other and are drawn closer to our hearts of love in this time of service. Touch this gathering with tenderness, so that we may be refreshed anew by the grace that encompasses this morning.
Spirit, fall
As I extinguish the chalice today, I'm going to read to you an Apache blessing. May the sun bring you new energy by day. May the moon softly restore you by night. May the rain wash away your worries. May the breeze blow new strength into your being. May you walk gently through the world and know its beauty all the days of your lives. Blessed be. Amen and Namaste. Our worship is over. Now our service begins.
Please join us as we sing 10